Welcome to the Pharsyde channel. This is our series on business owner challenges, where I sit with different business owners, have some coffee, have a good chat, and we discuss what it took for them to get to where they are now in their business building journey. And today's chat I am really looking forward to with Christine Campbell Rapin. We are talking about how she has built multiple businesses, but her current one is a coaching business. So welcome, Christine. Really looking forward to this.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I love getting real and having the real conversations, because
Awesome.
It is not about a highlight reel. It really is. Let's talk about what it really is and what it's not. And I'm such a big fan of that. So thank you for having me today. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Going to be amazing. So Christine, let's start by you telling our viewers what you do, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. So I am a business success coach. I primarily work with early stage entrepreneurs. And I say early, it's typically they are struggling to get their first client or repeating client success. They are service-based typically, and they're all around the world. And what I find with this people that I serve is they have many times had a spark of an idea, but they are an accidental entrepreneur. They might not have the skills, mindset, confidence to really pursue it or to give it birth in many ways. And so they buy a job or they create themselves a really expensive hobby. And yet there's a runway that they're on and they're running out of it. And so they're starting to go, I don't know necessarily what I don't know. I just know that I thought I would be further than I am. And this is maybe harder than I imagined. And what am I missing? For me, what is really important is the understanding that business is simpler than we make it. And when we're struggling, though, we like to add all kinds of complexity, thinking that that's the answer. I can't find a simple answer. And so my great skill as a business success coach is actually three things. That's what makes me unique in this realm, I believe. Of course, we're doing the vision casting, the accountability, that, getting it done component, which is really important. That moves us forward. But a big piece where I like to play is the strategy piece. Like, what is the foundations you actually need to create a business? What are the skill gaps you personally might have? I do a lot of skill teaching with my clients so that you actually can create a sustainable business, because the goal, which is part 3, the mentorship, is that you really should work less hours for more money the longer we work together. And people say, well, it's not all about the money. I'm like, money is a recognition that you are making impact. And if you want to truly have a business, money is part of that conversation. It's not just an expensive hobby. But we often, as you said, buy ourselves a job, play at being in business, and I want you to be successful at it. I am all about creating positive ripples of change, but my magic is keeping it simple. What simple step? What's the one step that we need? What's the skill that we can enhance? Because business truly is really, 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 really simple. Meet more people.
Yeah, it's true. And
know where your value is. And not
like
value as you perceive it. Value as they perceive it.
That is a very important distinction. That is such an important distinction, because we all know I wouldn't say we all know our value, but we know what we're good at. But what's important is what your client needs, right?
Yeah, and it's also what they want and what they need. And I think we often think the solution has value. That's the piece we often get kind of going to say stuck against, because we're like, well, our solution is so valuable. 1, they should see it. 2, it should be obvious, and they should just kind of fall open at our knees with their wallets open. And then they go, wow, is that not happening? I said, well, guess what? You have subscribed to the Kevin Costner Field of Dreams business strategy. If I build it, they will come. And then they go, what's happening? It's not happening. And I'm like, you have a field of crickets happening. That's what's happened, because you are thinking about the solution. And you have not entered into the conversations that are happening in your client's head, which is not about a solution. It's living with a problem. Yeah. And they need to recognize and connect to feeling seen with the problem, and a recognition that the problem is costing them too much of time, relationships, stress, health, whatever. You need to know what that is, because you need to enter into that conversation. Not, I have a solution over here. I see you in the problem. And planting the seeds, I always say, about coming out of the problem. Do you know, like, staying in there isn't optional. And if you're curious about, not staying in the problem, Let me show you how I can be a bridge out. You're not the solution either. That's another mistake we often see. You're not the solution. You're the bridge to the solution, and you're the guide to help them get there. They must take the action and move themselves forward, but you will be the right guide for only a small group of people. It's remarkable when you think, I can't find clients. It's one of the things that I work with a lot with people on. Like, there's no clients out there. It's so hard to find clients. I'm like, there's 8 billion people on the planet. Like, there's a lot of clients out there. The challenge is that you are not clear on the problem because you're only focused on the solution. And the problem is never the problem you think it is. You've got to dig around. And if you really get clear on, I'm not going to live with this problem anymore, and you really connect to it, you will have curiosity. And curiosity is what drives a business forward, and it creates momentum. And that's actually how sales come in. I said, I want customers and clients of mine to build demand for their services, not to go hunting to find clients. Like, that's the end of something, and it's aggressive language, and none of that is a good start. It's like, what happens if you knew your value and you showed up and spoke in a language that connected to a specific individual, and they saw you and they felt seen by you? Your business would fly. And it just takes, again, that we think that we need thousands and thousands of people. We need to know that many people, but most businesses, it's 1, 3, 5, 10 clients in a month that would make your business incredibly successful. How do we find that small number of people? You cannot sound like everybody else.
It's so true. And I find as well, I don't know if you're finding this when you talk to other business owners, there's a lot of focus on needing more clients and desperately trying to get at the sales numbers up and up and up and up, but they're not looking at, like you say, building that value so that the people that they are talking to will buy from them, number one, because you are solving their problem, but also that looking after your own business. There's so much running around looking for that desperate sale. You're putting so much time and energy into selling that's all you do. Whereas, as you say, if you know who you are, you know what you offer, and you know who you're speaking to, the sales become easy, and they stop just taking over your life, so that you actually have time to do other things.
Well, I think it's because we often misunderstand what value really means. And this is an interesting one. So this is my 2 cents on it. I think we often, especially when we're talking about our business, we're like, the value is this, and we state it quite confidently, but we never tack on the most important part of the statement, which is, so what? Why does that value matter, and what will they do with it? If you can make that small tweak, it changes everything. And I'll give you an example. So I see people all the time saying, I'm going to be teaching you a masterclass. It's going to be about all these value statements. Come register. And I see it time and time again. And then maybe some people register, but it's not the volume you were looking for. I'm going to challenge you. What if you reframed it saying, I'm going to be offering the value of these 3 things. There's a master class, and my client used these values to create the following things. If you're curious about whether her results could be your results using the same value, you should be in that meeting. Come join us. Which would move you? With same value was stated in both, but you've told me, so what? What will I do with it? You've got me thinking. It's not just a simple statement where I'm going to like and comment. I'm going to take action. And I think so often what we miss, and this is something that I can get on a soapbox about, is I want you to be clear on your value. I want you to make the offer, but the goal every time you speak about your business, every time you're out selling, if you will, is about creating influence, curiosity, movement, trust, confidence that you could be a guide. If you do that consistently through daily habits, and I'm not talking, if you do it in 30 minutes a day, you can do it in 6 hours a day, don't care. Principles are the same. That just controls your speed to success, speed to more volume. But if you do that, you create demand, and people show up in your universe and go, well, guess what? I've seen something. They may never have liked, commented, or you have no visibility that they've been watching, but they show up in your inbox and say, tell me what it's like to work with you. Because what you said really resonated with me, and I saw some of the results that you were getting, and I'm not getting those results. And I understand the value, but I'm not able to apply it in my world. And yet you seem to have figured out the application piece. I'm curious what that looks like. It's the start of a really great relationship. And that's how I think win in my business. I always ask the so whats. Why does this matter to them? When I'm coaching clients, why does this matter? I'm not saying it's right or wrong. The value is what you believe it to be, but did they see that as value? And if it was value, what would they do with it? Talk to me what I would do with that value and what's the cost of inaction? Do you really want that? Because if the answer is yes, you should get them to move incrementally. And that's always the goal. Move towards you and move away from you, because you're not for everybody. Separate the crowd. You want the people moving to you, and the others, just let them go. Somebody else will be the right guide for them. And that's a hard one. And it's very counterintuitive, but I said, the more specific you are in clearing the value and talking that language to them, you narrow down your focus. And I know when we don't do that, our business starts to stagnate. And we create pockets, and we then ride the roller coaster of revenue numbers. And sadly, that's a highly stressful experience because our expenses don't work that way.
No, they never do they? It doesn't seem fair. But yeah, your expenses definitely do not work on the same roller coaster as your income.
No. And it's interesting. I always think, and this is something we all need fine-tuning on. And myself included. I will tell you a recent example, because the conversations around challenges is, I know I keep things simple. That's one of the great strengths I have as a coach, because simple is what will sell, and simple is what can scale. And it's often simpler than you think. And sometimes you're like, well, why would I pay for it if it's so simple? Because it's really hard to do the simple things well. Because we like to add complexity. We like our shiny objects. And we think we're doing things that lead us towards growth, but it's a false sense of security. And I'll give you an example. So it could be things like, I'm going to launch a new product because that will be the answer. I'm going to fine tune. It's a pricing problem. So I spend a lot of time rethinking the pricing and trying lots of different price points. I go back and, tweak the copy. Maybe the copy is the problem. Maybe it's a new website. Maybe I should go do that. Or it's the graphics, the wrong colors, and all of that is noise. We think all of that leads to sales. None of it leads to sales. The number one thing and the only thing that leads to sales is conversation. So go off the conversation, stop getting distracted on the noise. And I had to audit, because someone said that to me pretty recently. He said, look at your calendar for the last 2 weeks. Have you made any offers? And I only make offers in person because I decided to make an offer. I don't do a lot of go to my sales page and click to buy. It's not generally how I run my business, because nobody's going to show up in my universe and spend a lot of money if they've not talked to me. I am not Tony Robbins. Okay. So that isn't how my business grows. It grows with conversations. And when she said that to me, I looked in my calendar and thought, yeah, I haven't made any offers, because I've redone my website. I did 3 landing pages. I went back and thought maybe that is a price problem. I've changed that. I was exactly what she said. And I was like, oh, I couldn't see it until that comment landed with me. And I was like, you're right. I need to get back to doing the one thing I know moves my business. Go back to the people I've had conversations with, first and foremost, low-hanging fruit. Go back to people I've had conversations with and say, let's talk about now is the right time. How much have you moved forward since the last time we spoke? Are you prepared to wait another 3 months, 6 months, 9 months to see your business move? Let's move today. This is what it could look like, and make an offer. It meant that I had anxiety. I was like, I'm going to have to go do that. Yes, I'm going to go do that because that will move my business. And then I thought, but I was uncomfortable because it pushed me back into the lane I needed to be in. But the interesting thing, the moment I had a yes, I'm like, I can't wait to start working with you. And that's how they feel too. I'm ready.
Fantastic. That's fantastic.
But I can tell you, we can't see the forest for the trees. I got a hard check. I was like, you're right. I am completely distracted by shiny objects, and I have not made any offers in my business. And guess what? I have no revenue to show for that. So if I don't want that to continue, I need to change.
But I love the fact that you as a coach have a coach, or you have a mentor. That's because you recognize the need. You recognize that you're not, you and I were talking about this earlier before we actually started the interview, but I think it's such an important thing is you need to recognize that you must continually grow. You can't be helping your clients if you stay where you are. And I mean, that's obviously, as a mentor and as a coach, that is a big thing. But whether you are a mentor or a coach, whether you do a service or whether you provide a product, you are not going to help your clients if you just stay where you are. You've got to be growing.
You have to walk the walk. And this comes down to, we are so craving authenticity, and it is something we know we want, and we struggle to think, well, I need to be like somebody else, because comparison culture is everywhere. It is the death of your dreams. Try not to give rent-free space to your head of somebody else's opinion whose life you wouldn't trade. But it's interesting because, yes, I have both. I have a coach that I committed to out of the gate 2 years, because I knew where I wanted to go was not instantaneously. And I knew she had the skills in areas where I did not feel strong. And that's why I chose her. And she is a straight shooter, because I also said, don't dance around it for me. I need it to be directionally with me so I can move with it. And, she is somebody where I'm like, I am spinning, and she has the balance of life. And so we talk about life in addition to the business. And she's like, and that was one of the questions she asked me, you will get there because you've got the tenacity to get there. And I knew that too. The question she said is, you would get there in 5 years if you kept doing it by yourself. What happens if we could get there in 18 months? And I was like, and she's like, if not now, why? Why do you need to exhaust yourself in 5 years when we can go, yes, at a high rate of speed in 18 months? And I didn't have a great answer, and thought, this makes sense. This is a compelling argument. And I said, I watched, I observed, I had experienced her, but then I also have other people that I still take courses with outside of her. I don't have to do that. I choose to do that because there's something in what they say that I know I could improve upon. And I'm honest about my insecurities with my own clients. And I say my integrity in the marketplace, which is I'm learning. I got hard coached. She was not aggressive. This was in my head. I was hard coached in my head. It was humbling. And you know what? I have a light on fire as a consequence. I'm moving. My business moved dramatically in 2 weeks after that conversation. And what I love about long-term mentorship or long-term coaching, which is what I chose for myself, and I am one for other people, is I don't need to hold the list of things I want to talk about. I know there's built-in accountability, which is a quick text. We have standing meetings. We have standing group masterminds, which are really helpful because I'm then thinking with other business owners who are all at different spaces, different industries, but we are sharing what's our best practice that's working and being open to this is not. Please help me figure this out. Let me practice in a safe space. Let me try different things. What's your first impression? Why are we stalling out, not getting things moving? Why are we not creating curiosity around it? It's so helpful. But the interesting thing through all of that journey is I can instantaneously move more quickly by dropping a text and saying, I need 20 minutes. Can we find time? I so recommend it. But just be clear, coaching isn't pat you on the head and do it for you. The right guide in my case is like, I'm in the weeds. What do we need this week? Are we talking theory and we're clear and we're just polishing something? Or it's like, I am lost, hands on the screen. Let's get the screens out. Let's write the copy. Let's go to a sales call together. Let's go network together. Let's try a different approach. It's very hands-on because I want you to implement.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, doing it messy is better than doing it not at all perfect in your head.
100%. We're big on implementation in the Builder. We have our implementation forum, and it's because I've seen that so often over and over, and in myself. I've seen it in myself. I collect knowledge. I love knowledge. I love learning. I love reading. I love attending a course. But that's all useless if it sits in your head. You need to use it. You need to start doing. You can't just have it sitting there and go nowhere with it. So
well, you want to be always the best example. Like, this is something that I find fascinating, because when you can't see your own business, that is why I would encourage you all to have a thinking partner, whether that's something you do in a mentorship capacity, whether you go join a networking group where you see the same faces and you're invested in each other's success, because you cannot see your own business as clearly as someone else sees your business. And I would also say, be brave enough to find someone in the same vertical as you, because they are really seeing things much more clearly than someone who is in a different industry. And that's something that many people shy away from. I'm like, honestly, marketers coached by other marketers is fabulous. Why a lot of people come to me saying, I actually came to you for marketing. I'm like, so weird. I talk about sales, but I've got a really strong marketing background. They get it. And I'm going to do the copying and the messaging, and I'm not writing it. I'm editing it for you and getting clear on the impact, which is the result. But it's fascinating because we do get really caught into, I'm theoretical. So theoretically, this is what would do, and I know what to do, but you're not taking the action. And when people come and observe my role, I said, if you want to know whether I'm a successful business owner, observe me. I'm not perfect. I have hiccups all over the place, but I own them publicly, and I choose that. And it's very uncomfortable, but it was something I made a decision on because I wanted to say, if you want to know what it's like to work with me, you watch me work my own business, because the things that are working in my business, I will teach and share with you. And you'll also see me trying things for the first time that I don't know if they're working, but I still want some momentum or growth. So I'm preparing to suck at something new, watch and observe. That's such an important thing for your clients. And it isn't, just an immediate, client who's already with you, but it's other people watching who may be clients down the road. And you don't control when they show up, but you need to create that demand and say, I've been watching for a while. And I always joke to people, with all my clients, 98% of them have never engaged in my social media.
Sure.
I've never seen them like, amazing. I've never seen them comment. And usually it's a couple conversations, and then, the conversation comes around the table and the comment comes out of their lips. Tell me what it's like to work with you. I'm like, well, tell me how you found me and why you think it would be valuable. It's one of the most important questions I ask. Why do you think I have value to you? The answers are never the same. I am still the same in everything I do, but not what resonates with them is the same. And we start with, where do you see value? And I then assess, do I agree? Am I strong in that? Is it something I know I can deliver high value on? And if it is, then I might make an offer. If it's not, I'll say, no, I'm not the right person for that. I'm really flattered, but here's somebody I know is really great. You should get and connect with them. But if you don't ask where they see the value, and you're not constantly growing your value, that's why in year 2, I want you to be working less for more money, because your value has gone up. And your clients have become raving fans, and they've come up to you and said, I love that. What happens next? It's a magic word. You should be thinking about that. How do you create the 4 revenue streams? I know we talked about that in the builders back in May. I think it was May, maybe it was the month before April. And it was like, what are the 4 foundations of revenue? You may start with only one in your business, but to grow a really profitable business, that you don't work 100 hours into the ground and that you are not able to step away from your business, to me, is not success. But you need to evolve. And your clients do want to see you evolving, because it gives them safety that, oh yeah, I can do it too.
Yep.
And
100%.
that's important.
Yeah.
It's so authentic. You can't buy that. But they are looking for it. So have the courage to embrace it.
I love that. I love that whole concept. I think it's fantastic. I mean, we've gone through quite a few challenges actually in this conversation, but I'd love to know, because you have such a strong background in business. You've got, you're well educated, you've got massive amounts of experience. It's not like you leapt into business blindly like so many business owners do.
Yes, I was intentional about strategy.
so you circumvented a lot of the challenges that small businesses have, but you still have them. So I'd love to know what your biggest challenge has been so far that you managed to overcome.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. And I think this is just being honest. It is always easier to build somebody else's business than it is to build your own. And that's true for me, as true as it will be for you. And I'll give you a recent example, because this is also where I had that course correction needed in my own business, because I have had an idea that I know I can do. I've had it kicking around my brain since February. And I never prioritized it, even though I know it is absolutely will be a spark and a catalyst for significant growth in my business. No reason I can justify why I just haven't done it. Fear would be the only one. And so I think all of us face. And yet, in a similar scope to what I would do for myself, I had an email came through on my WhatsApp. I am in a crisis. I need some help. Can you help? In 25 minutes, I had a solution for them on something I have been thinking about for months. It was easier to do it for them than it was to do it for myself. And that is a problem you will face. I face it. I'm owning it, because we are comforted, especially if we came from corporate, by being in the crowd versus being and creating the crowd. And yet I know when I look at the impact I want to make, I'm like, I want to create the crowd. And I need to be visible to do that. So I had to give my head a shake and said, you don't lack the skill. You're obviously not, even when they ask us for someone else lacking the confidence, you need to put a stake in the sand, declare it, and then create it. Because the decision is foregone. You did it for them. You've already decided in your head it's a good idea, and you know you can do it because you've also not just seen success. But Christine, seriously, you can do more for others than you can do for yourself. And that is why you need coaches. I will tell you that. I will tell you right now, I needed it. And she's like, so let's do it. Let's put the date in the sand. I know exactly how to get that event launched with you. So come back to me, put a date in my calendar. When are we moving forward? What's the date you've chosen? You don't need a long runway as you think you do. You were able to do this for somebody in 25 minutes for an event that was 4 days away. And I'm like, well, maybe in September. And she's like, okay, explain to me why this can't happen sooner.
How did 4 days become 4 months? No.
Again, it's like I am not prioritizing my own growth. And it was also part of that same conversation, because I said I needed a couple course corrections recently, which is one, I need to make sure I'm offering in my own business, not just offering on things I do joint venture on. And I was doing more joint venture stuff because it was comfortable. And I believe in what I'm doing as a joint venture. So it was easy and we shared it. You know what? I can do that and get other people to share as well. But they're looking to me to say, what can I share for you? And I'm like, I need to answer that. I need to get it outside of my head and into action. And I think that that's a really honest challenge I faced recently, was do for yourself. It's okay to declare and do some things for yourself and gather momentum. Others need you to lead that. And remember, Christine, voice inside my head, the first person I must lead is myself. Mm-hmm. This is a self-leadership problem right now. And I have the tools and strategies I know to implement to lead myself. So do it. And so later that week, or in our subsequent networking meetings that I was at, one of the people, they asked was, what do you need to move your vision forward? And it's like, I will be coming to you with 3 asks. I'm setting a date to do something amazing. And everyone in the room's like, tell me what it is. How can I support you when you get there?
Amazing.
It's about self-leadership. But that has been a challenge for me, because I got very comforted by, again, choosing somebody else's business first. And I will tell you, you'll probably face the same at some point on your journey. It's easier to do somebody else's vision than it is your own, but you're there to do your own.
Yeah, I think there's it's not just easier, it's really scary to own your own vision. When you're helping someone with their problem, you're providing that outside perspective, you're giving them the value that you have, but whether they use your idea or they don't use idea, if the implementation goes wrong because of something that they did or someone in their company did, that's not on you. You gave a good idea. It's up to them to make that decision. But when you're now handling your own business, this is your own vision, your own plan, your own dream, it is all on you. If it fails or it succeeds or it, I don't know, sort of just flops along, it's all on you. And that's, I think, what makes it so scary. It's so much easier to
and we sometimes can embrace that burden, but we don't have to. This is an interesting one. And I think that that's also the journey that, we cycle in and around. Like, yes, the vision was given to you, so you must be the one to carry it. That is where self-leadership is everything. On the other hand, choosing to be the only one who shores up the vision is optional. And this was sort of the conversation. It's like, I know the idea has merit because I see it and I've just executed it. I have a community, both in my networking space, but also within my, the coaches that I belong to and the courses that I belong to and the accountability groups that I belong to, the masterminds. I can take my ideas and flush them strengthen them. And then I'm not carrying that myself. And because I've invited them into that, they are also going to be collaborators to get the message out, which is just also smart strategy. So choosing to think I own this myself is optional. And that's something I need to remind myself. It's you need to self-lead and then strengthen your position by using the tools and team around you.
Because collaboration is so much the future. It's so much the future. It's something that I've really, it's been heavy on my mind lately, and I keep coming. And I know there's a cognitive bias type, which of course I can't remember right now, where once you've recognized something, you just keep seeing it. You know, like when you recognize that, when you finally discover blue swallows exist, you just see blue swallows everywhere, and they've always been there. But you know, so I know that that's partially what's happening, but I just keep seeing things about collaboration at the moment, and how powerful it is, and how you can improve your business and your clients' lives and the service you offer and the world around you simply by collaborating with other people, whether they're business owners or just, you know, solopreneurs or I don't know, people that you know who just have something to offer. When you collaborate and work together, you really make something amazing. And as you say, without that fear that I have to own this, I have to do this, you know, it can be we can do that.
And it comes down to knowing it's absolutely infinitely enriched when you collaborate. The interesting thing about that, it all comes down to accountability. And this is my whole philosophy. And if you've not crossed paths with me, you don't know this, but everything in business and in life is about knowing where your own level of accountability needs to be at any given moment. You know, we've got options from low accountability to high accountability, and different seasons need different things. If you were just executing something you're really familiar with, you probably need low accountability because it's habit. If you're starting something new, high accountability is what you need. And you're paying for speed, you're paying for implementation, you're paying for a get it done attitude. And so when I go back to where I am in any point of my journey, or when I'm facing my challenges, or I know I'm in my own way, I'm pretty self-aware to see it, because I've done a lot of personal development to get me here in the last 30 years. But the interesting thing is I still have my hiccups with accountability, and I see them coming and go, oh, I see you. I might need to do something about that if I really want to move. And that was exactly what happened. Like, I was in a room where somebody was a very straight talking mentor, invited me to something. I declined moving forward with them because I knew I'd heard the lesson I needed and I was able to move with it. I also then went back to my coach and said, this is what's transpired. She's like, yeah, obviously I had a lightning rod. What happened that you were so humble? I know it wasn't me. And she's like, and I'm not, she's not precious about, knowing I'm the only voice in her head, but I also don't let so many voices in my head. I don't hear my own, because then I go, I know I need accountability to get my own voice heard, which was, you're right, dates in the sand, follow-up meetings, make the declaration, still shying away from it. So I said, I still know I need more accountability. But in your journey, when you are looking at challenges, that's the question to ask yourself. I see it. Okay, I recognize the blue swallows are all around. I know staying here, the cost of inaction is too high. So what level of accountability do I need to move? Is it, found resources with low accountability? Is it, a course that might give some level of accountability if I implement, knowing that not everyone completes courses, depending on how much money you spend on a course, dramatically impacts how much you complete it. Just being honest, all those course creators out there know that. Or is it, that high level of accountability, high touch, eyeball to eyeball? You can do that within friendship groups if they are peers with the same drive and they are building in the same trajectory as you. Don't get accountability people who don't understand your journey. It's not going to help you. But you can choose it to go, peer to peer. But I also think, I know when I've got skin in the game, I'm more apt to remind myself, be coachable. Because I struggle with that on occasion. I'll be honest with that too. And early in my career, people would say that, Christine's very bright. It's not an issue of aptitude, but is she coachable? And I know when I have skin in the game, my goal is I have paid for that advice. Try to listen more actively. And I gave my coach free pass. You're free to tell me you should have just implemented what I suggested the first time. I have decided to go off into my own tangent. And I do on occasion, and because I'm very independent. But being independent can also, I said, but you have my permission to call me, be coachable. Listen to what I'm saying. This is a good idea. This needs fine tuning. Why are you over here and the squirrels are over here? Get back to your own business. It helps the course corrections.
That's really,
and learn from them.
really powerful. Yeah. Thanks, Christine.
You're welcome.
I think I'm going to ask you one thing to end, is just because there are so many things a business owner has to think of when they are building, and we've covered so many of them. This is a very valuable recording. Anyone who's watching can literally change their whole business from this. What one piece of advice, what one thing would you say focus on now if you want to improve where you are, where your business is?
Yeah, I would say the general theme is you need to get in front of more people. I want to caveat that though, because I will tell you, I have never met a single business owner. My coach herself would say the same thing. I don't meet enough people. I need to meet more people. The meeting more people drives your engine. It's about demand. And you cannot sell to somebody who doesn't know you exist. I would say when you're out meeting people, you need to do it intentionally with the goal of sparking curiosity that drives conversation. It's not about go out and be a hit and run. It is not about so many new people that you never cultivate the relationship. There needs to be a balance there, but your whole goal is that you do not sound like everybody else. It does not feel like a hit and run. It sparks imagination and curiosity to proceed with a conversation. Do it intentionally. You want to avoid the peaks and the valleys that we talked about in your business and the revenue line. The number one thing you need to spend 50% of your time on is meeting more people. People don't do that, especially when you get into high delivery seasons. And I know in your profession with taxes, there are cyclical peak seasons. But guess what happens? If you have not built your audience by the time you hit peak, you don't have a good crescendo. The crescendo covers your money for several months. Hello, peak and valley. If you are always meeting new people, you are always creating demand. Creating demands means you do not have peaks and valleys in your business. You start the month with revenue in your bank, commitments on the plan, and adding the value that supports sustainability. And I will tell you, simple answer, you must meet more people and be intentional with the strategy to do that. Going to a meeting and saying, hi, I'm an accountant, or hi, I'm a coach is useless. I do not ever introduce myself that way. You know that. Spark the curiosity, because people make assumptions when you use broad titles, and they're often titles they have no idea what they mean. And they have no idea why it matters to them. The so what factor is everything. Spark imagination. Meet more people.
That. That's very awesome.
Business.
Very good advice. Thank you. And if anyone watching here, if you have sparked their interest and their curiosity and they want to connect with you, what would be the best way of doing so?
So I'm going to invite you to come find me on the World Wide Web. My email or my name, Christine Campbell Rapin, which you see on the bottom of the screen for spelling, is my domain. ChristineCampbellRapin.com is the hub of everything. You're going to see opportunity to have a conversation with me, to join the community that I run, which is a free community. Get some great resources, go network. You're also going to see a little bit about what my universe looks like and some free ways to engage with me. So start there. I'd love to have a conversation and help you on your journey. It starts with you picking up the decision to type in ChristineCampbellRapin.com onto your computer, tablet, device, phone, or any other thing you're using. Come find us on the World Wide Web.
We'll make it even easier for you. I'll put it underneath the video. So you don't even have to type it. You can just click on it.
Even better. Simple, right? Make it simple.
Very simple. Thank you so much, Christine, for chatting to us today. I think if I were a business owner, I actually would probably have to watch this video more than once to absorb everything that you've shared, because there was some really, really important stuff there. So thank you so much.
Thank you for the compliment.
Oh, no, really. Every time I talk to you, it's mind blowing for me. So I can only imagine what it's like for the people watching for the first time. But yeah, it really, that was amazing. And thank you so much for being so generous with your knowledge and with your
My pleasure.
your willingness to help. I think it's an amazing thing that you are so open to share.
Well, we want to make the impact. You know what? Knowledge is free. Guys, go implement it. If you need help, we're here. Both of us are here.
Thanks so much, Christine. Have a great day.
See you soon.